Hari Om and welcome to Discourse 13 of Srimad Bhagvat Mahapuran. The topic is King Dhritarashtra and his wife Gandhari depart to the forest. For the sake of listeners who are not aware of the persons involved in the war of Mahabharata, I'll give a small background. King Dhritarashtra was a blind king who was served by her devoted wife Gandhari. King Dhritarashtra had an elder son by name Duryodhana. Duryodhana had led a battle against his own cousin brothers, and the cousin brothers' side was led by King Yudhishthir. King Yudhishthir finally won the battle, and he was now the monarch. Dhritarashtra also had a cousin brother by name Vidura, who was his minister. And before the war, when Vidura saw that King Dhritarashtra was not on the right side of the war, he had given up his ministerial post and went on a pilgrimage. By the time he returned, Yudhishthir had won the battle and become the king. Dhritarashtra, who did not take part in the battle, was still staying with Yudhishthir. Vidura, during his pilgrimage, ascertained the truths about the consciousness in his heart from a sage Maitreya and developed devotion to Lord Krishna. One important point that is being told here is that when devotion develops in one's heart, the person will not expect any reply to any of his questions that he would have asked before his devotion has developed. Similar was the case with Vidura. He asked many questions to his guru Maitreya, but then devotion developed in his heart, and because of this he was not interested even to the replies of his guru. So at a point when you surrender to God, and if it is a wholehearted one, you leave all worries to the Lord. Vidura, when he returned after his pilgrimage, was welcomed by King Yudhishthir, and the king paid his respects and asked Vidura the places that he visited. Vidura shared all the information he knew except unpleasant ones. This is another characteristic of an enlightened soul. They are so compassionate that they do not share unpleasant news to anyone. Vidura then lived comfortably at Hastinapur, but he was anxious to do something good to his cousin brother Dhritarashtra. So he encouraged Dhritarashtra to leave the palace and lead a life in the forest. He told Dhritarashtra to free himself from worldly attachments and be ready to cast off his body with his mind holding Sri Hari's thoughts. Encouraged like this, Dhritarashtra left the palace unnoticed by anyone, and his devoted wife Gandhari followed him. Vidura guided him to a place in the Himalayas. The next day, when Yudhishthir came to Dhritarashtra's cabin to pay his daily salutations, he was sad not to perceive him. Afflicted with grief and also overwhelmed with affection at his sudden disappearance, he started inquiring the people. When he was thus inquiring, sage Narada came along to Yudhishthira's palace. Yudhishthir then asked sage Narada to enlighten him about the whereabouts of his uncle. Narada said that God, who controls everything in this world, unites and separates living beings. He asked Yudhishthir to not grieve and shake off the uneasiness in his mind, because it was caused by ignorance that he was thinking something wrong has happened to Dhritarashtra. He said that Dhritarashtra was now living near the Himalayas and only on water, and he had freed himself of all attachments. He said that Dhritarashtra will soon cast off his body and his devoted wife Gandhari will also follow him. Hearing these words, Yudhishthira ceased his worries. So with this ends the discourse 13 of Srimad Bhagvat Mahapurana, and in summary I can say that it is a natural process that the old gives way to new, but the old should get liberated by due devotion to the Lord. Hari Om Tat Sat.